चलो रे पंछी पार गगन, नई सुबह की नई किरण। चलो रे पंछी पार गगन, बिखरा तन के किरण किरण, बुला रहा है वो प्राण धन। नई सुबह की नई किरण। नहीं दे दुनिया का है ध्यान, ना तो दुनिया का है ध्यान। आए प्रभु देखो जाए हम एक समान, हो जाए हम एक समान। महामिलन की लगी लगन, आओ कर ले प्रभु मिलन, आओ कर ले प्रभु मिलन। दूर जगत निराला है, अपना वतन निराला है। Om Shanti, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another masterclass, and this time it is Didiji. We are especially happy to welcome Sudesh Didi, and we are especially happy to welcome her from Gyan Sarovar. She must be in Harmony Hall because we can see Baba's picture. It brought back so many wonderful memories looking at Didi sitting there in Harmony Hall. Thank you, Didi. Welcome. And we also have Sister Maureen from London. She's also going to be sharing something about Didi. So today, Didiji. So today we will have four things in the webinar. One is a video of Didi Manmohini, then Sudesh Didi will be sharing, then Sister Maureen will be sharing, and then we will end with a drill.
Born Great. Manmohini Didiji. People used to say that Manmohini Didiji was born great. Perhaps at first they said this because she was born into a wealthy, respected and famous Sindhi family. Didiji shared about her early days. In spite of being very rich, I was very unhappy. Hence I would spend more time attending various satsangs. There were all types of comforts in my home, and we were constantly engaged in charity and making donations. I loved the Gita and the Bhagavad very much. I loved the story of gopis in the Bhagavad. Even my worldly name was Gopi. As I was reading about Krishna's Rasa Leela with his gopis, I would shed tears of love. I was so fond of those gopis. Once, my worldly mother, whom they would call Queen Mother in the Yagya, went to see Baba. And the next day, after having gone to Baba, she sent back her car to take me there too. Baba was sitting in a small room, holding the Gita in his hand and conducting satsang. I had seen Baba a number of times before. However, on that day, I was experiencing a special pull to him. I came up to Baba and sat down in front of him in such a way that Baba's drishti met my drishti. I saw a spinning discus of light in the middle of Baba's forehead. It's not that I went into trance. I was seeing this discus of light on Baba's forehead with my physical eyes. Baba was narrating something, but I was hardly aware of what all of that was about. At the end, Baba started chanting the sound of Om, and I got lost in the love of that chanting. After the satsang, I said, I want to learn more. Baba said, come to Om Mandali tomorrow. Next day, Baba took a sheet of paper and a pencil, drew a picture of the subtle regions, the land of death, this corporeal world, and the Brahm element, and explained them to me. As I was listening to Baba, I had firm faith that I was that same gopi described in the Bhagavad. It's me who is a true gopi. Or perhaps Didiji was born great because when Baba first gave her the direction to remain celibate, she said, I will stay pure. Because of her purity, Didi's husband would quarrel with her daily and physically abuse her. When Didi's mother, Queen Mother, came to know that Didi's husband was abusing her, she called Didi back to her place. Because of her husband's cruelty, she left his house and returned to her parents' home. Didi, her mother, her sister Shil Dadi, and her cousin Bridshanta Dadi all continued to attend Om Mandali. When Baba moved to Karachi from Hyderabad, Didiji, her mother, her sister, and her cousin also moved to Karachi. In Karachi, Didiji and her family lived in a separate house. Didiji's greatness was natural because when mothers and girls who were abused by their husbands and fathers came to Baba, he would accommodate them at Didiji's place. She used to teach them sewing. If the authorities inquired, it was explained that these women just lived separately and made their living by sewing. Didiji's vow of celibacy created a lot of upheaval. Her powerful relatives opposed Baba and Om Mandali in every way possible. In 1936, a Hindu woman did not have many rights or options. However, Didiji overcame her obstacles with courage, determination, and unshakable faith. Seeing her as an example, many young sisters were able to face their problems and follow the discipline of celibacy. We read in history about the heroes of the land of Bharat like the Queen of Jhansi, but Didiji's spiritual courage was no less. She truly was born great. In 1937, when the Godly University was first established, Brahma Baba surrendered all his wealth and created a trust. He appointed 8 mothers and Kumaris as trustees. Didi Manmohini Ji was one of those 8 special members of the trust. After the partition in 1950, it was decided that the Godly University would move from Sindh to India. Baba sent Didiji to scout for a location, and it was Didiji who made all the enquiries and selected Mount Abu. Because of her shrewd intellect and tirelessness, in 1951, when service started in India, Baba sent Didiji to open the first center in Delhi. Didi was Mama's right hand. After Mama passed away in 1965, Didiji moved to Mount Abu and her responsibilities in the Yagya increased. She became Sakar Baba's right hand. In January 1969, when Sakar Baba became Avyakt, Didi was away on tour of centers in India. Prakash Mani Dadiji, who was at that time taking care of a center in Bombay, was with Baba in Madhuban. When Baba became Avyakt, he handed over the responsibility of the yagya first to Dadiji, and Didiji became the additional administrative head. This story, recounted by Dadi Janki, shows Didiji's inherent greatness in such a powerful way. After Baba became Avyakt, Dadi Prakashmani started reading the Murli in Madhuban. Didiji, without a word of complaint or any kind of ill feeling on her face, used to come with her notebook and pen to class and listen to the Murli and take notes. Didiji possessed the power to discern people. Just from their face, behavior, or a short conversation, she would give solutions to their spiritual problems. Didiji did tireless service by fully surrendering her mind, body, and wealth to the task of awakening people. Even though Didiji was from a very wealthy family, her way of dressing, eating, and behaving was very simple. She was an image of simplicity, renunciation, and humility. Manmohini Didiji, along with Dadiji, had the huge responsibility of administrating a very big international organization. However, Didiji never spoke to anyone with a feeling of arrogance because of her position. Even if someone misbehaved or were dissatisfied, she would still sustain them with love. To pacify their mind, Didiji herself would initiate a conversation and say, "Brother, if there is something in your mind, disclose it. All of us are travelers on the same path. In our divine family, we have relationships of souls, and in my heart, there are only pure feelings for you." She showed her greatness till the end by embodying the mantra, "We now have to return home." She passed away on July 28, 1983. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, everyone. We had a slight glitch and we all left the webinar and came back, and everybody's back now. So apologies for that. I just wanted to make sure you can just send your questions or information getting into the webinar. I'll be answering those on the side. And also, just to let you know, we do have video. You will be able to see Sudesh Didi. Sometimes the video goes into a small window on your computer. It's an orange window with a white flower on it. So just make sure to find that window so you can see Sudesh Didi. This is a video presentation. So I'd like to pass it on to Shireen to welcome Sudesh Didi.
Welcome, Didi, again. We're so sorry about the mix-up. This is what happens when you are dealing with technology, I think, and actually dealing with technology who don't have too much experience dealing with technology. Welcome from Gansarover. And if you could share a little bit about Didiji's Yogilife, we would be very happy.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti, and good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time everyone is there at their place. Seeing Didiji's video, my childhood memories come back to me. I met Didiji in Delhi. And in fact, I took spiritual birth through Brahma Baba through his Drishti. And Mama came then in Delhi, and that was my start of spirituality life. Didiji was responsible for the whole area from Ahmedabad to Srinagar, at that time based in Rajouri Garden, the main center of Delhi. And her spiritual power, spirituality was reality in her. She was a powerful woman, but very loving mother, and very lightness and joyful, uh, entertaining friend as well. She was a very, very special student. Of course, we have noticed her many times in all the time when we are in Madhuban, that she took her notebook, and when Adiji is reading Murli, she always said, I have to be before the teacher comes in the class. I have to be before. So enthusiasm and humility and that kind of natural love and respect for Baba's Murli, and also whoever is reading Baba's Murli at that time, especially it was Dadiji reading, her capability, as we heard before as well, that when Mama left body, she became instrument to look after Yagge with Mama, with other Baba, and then after Baba became object, the feeling of this love for the Yagge and unity should remain. She always said, we are Dadi and Didi are two body and one soul. Now in two body, one soul means that there's unity, there's ideas are together, our thoughts are in harmony, our agreement is in harmony, our decision is in harmony. And I was actually also very responsible, very fortunate to have this opportunity to write notes for Didi when she would write some letters. And her specialty was she was not educated in an education in a school, but she was a real officer, official way. She had a small attache. In that, she would have all the letters, because after Brahma Baba became object, she became responsible to respond all the questions or letters or whatever correspondence was at that time. Uh, so she got printed this inland letters were there at that time, not necessary to send an envelope, but then this 3 pages inland letter, and she would write the questions on one page for the teachers, question answer, question answer. That day's Murli special, and then the rest of the 2 pages answering the whatever their questions were or whatever uh, advice others had made, asked from her. Her maturity and her sense of understanding the need of time at that time to sustain the center, sustain the family, and she loved and respect women, created self-respect in them, as her own self-respect was very powerful, but with friendship, created that courage and confidence in mothers, and also in Delhi itself, she was very powerful and sustaining and conducting classes, going from Delhi sometime to Allahabad, sometime to surrounding cities and other central India, UP, etc., with courage and confidence. But Yogilife was her basic base foundation. Amrit Vela, she would get up, have shower, and then conduct meditation. Her spiritual energy, the power in her drishti was just like you are the sparkling. As Baba says, the power, lighthouse, might house, would just from her eyes, this light would radiate. And then, of course, Murli was her life. Murli, and being in Rajouri Garden in Delhi, she would conduct time to time the seminar, we call it now, but it was just like gathering for the teachers surrounding areas and also discuss if anything they want to discuss. And also Kumaris and training Kumaris as well, organizing different programs. At that time, we used to have exhibitions. She would encourage us to go and conduct uh, as many rounds you can take. So encourage to um, develop our energy as well, or experience as well, to give not only just exhibitions explanation, but if people have questions, then with great maturity answer them. She was very careful that all the disciplines are followed. It's such love, the feeling. And she said, I am seated always. She was just like sometimes I'm chairperson, of seated on the chair of the four subjects. Purity was her power, spiritual power as well, and divine virtues. She always said, if anybody makes a mistake, not to have any kind of feeling of this person has made a mistake. Just try to understand and then clarify it. If there had been any kind of difference of opinion, and one person will come and ask the Didi, how should I do? What should I do when this person has that made mistake? And in order to understand whether it was mistake or it was some kind of a complaint, reality, what was reality? So she would invite both in front of each other and then would listen to the story and make the thing so clear that there is not any kind of wrong feeling for each other remain. And so in this way, having this harmony and happiness amongst each other, trust in each other. At the center also, from morning till evening, all the systems should remain accurate systematically. And also her body was not well. Sometimes the legs were not so strong. But she had the courage. She would say, she would walk and say, Bap Dada, Bap Dada, Bap Dada. Means remembering Baba, and she says, I am walking with these legs with Baba's power. And when she was maintaining this strength in herself, that she says, when I am sitting in my life, I am sitting, of course, in Baba's lap, and Baba is making me move. But what is make everyone move as a Brahmin and becoming powerful is seated on the seat of purity, of good company, of divine virtues, and all the this system that Baba has given, all the maryadas, and was very strict in this, that one should not be careless in following divine virtues, or uh, not careless in Murli. So that's why she started, in order to draw our attention, she started writing the questions. And next day morning, these questions became foundation now. Till now, the teachers loved it so much that even now, every day in the Murli, the questions we have, for some months, for some year actually, Raju Bhai used the same question what Didi had already started, because Murli were being revised. And so question and answer. After Amrit Vela in Madhuban, when she would conduct meditation, we would go before the Murli to say good morning to her, and she would ask from yesterday's one question, whether we have, and then she would say fail or pass. With great joy, she would make us fail, and with great joy, she would give us marks as well that we have passed. So this encouraged us, gave the feeling that we have to be very careful to listen the Murli with full attention. When the foreigners started coming, her attention and love was amazing. With great respect and love, she would welcome them, give tholi, gift with so much love and care, and also time to time meet personally with them as well. And I remember that one brother, his name was Nick. He's still Baba's very special child. She would say, "You are Baba's necklace, very beloved child of Baba." And then, if any, she would meet other student according to his name. Then would give also special title or special self-respect to that person. When any kind of teacher's training was taking place, she would give herself attention as well. And also, she liked having sweet conversation, deep conversation. And that's why Dadi Janki always said, Didi is my friend, Didi my friend, because Didi liked to have deep conversation, sweet conversation with Dadi Janki also, and as well as with teachers as well, encouragement. I remember when I did not have practice to give the classes, one day it was a big program arranged in Delhi, and her body was not well. And she says, Sudesh, you go and conduct the class. I said, Didi, they are waiting for Didiji, and I go conduct class. How would they feel? She says, my soul will enter you, and you will speak what I want to speak. What I want to speak is what Baba wants to speak. And so then when you will speak, Baba will speak, and my soul will speak. So it was such a beautiful way of encouraging me that I am not going alone myself to be there. I'm there with Baba and I'm there with Didi. What I want to say her, how power of her encouragement, enthusiasm, and to generate that happiness in others, especially another quality. Yajna was in her bone, in her heart, in her feeling. Not only the yajna system she created and kept as Baba has established. And that's why the whole inner administration was there, and very careful character of everyone had to be very powerful in this aspect. She was careful. Sisters Kumaris, how should Maryada Sampan should be there, brother should be Maryada Sampan. So she was in this way strict, but very loving and very attentive. Also, her support for the yajna, her family supported at the time of needed. Her brothers were quite well in their business, etc. But Brahmins, children, families, those who came, and she could feel that these souls can become very good cooperative children for Baba's yajna. Their fortune can be created, and they can make their future and as well as support the present time. So encourage them and gave the very subtle secrets and significance of what is actually making account with Yajna and account with Baba to claim the inheritance. In this way, she created many heir children of Baba and also many good teachers to give them an encouragement and spiritual power and strength. And so many things are there as I'm just looking at the clock. So because I think Mohanji Man is also going to speak and Maureen is going to speak. So I just say full stop here. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Didi, thank you so much for sharing such beautiful, beautiful experiences with us so we can all have this sense that we also got to spend that time with Didiji. And at this moment, we'd like to welcome Sister Maureen from the UK, who will also share briefly her experiences with Didiji with us. Welcome, Sister Maureen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Om Shanti. It's so lovely to be reminded of Didiji. It's Didi's month and hearing Sudesh Didi's experience. And I had the fortune of knowing her for 7 years before she passed on to her new role. And I think what everybody mentions is really the power of Didi's Drishti. And I remember the very first visit to Madhuban. We were a small group coming from London. I think totally we were about 20 as the first big group of double foreigners. But a few of us, we'd come up from Abu Road by a very old rickety bus. And we get there and Didi and Daddy were waiting in the courtyard to greet us. And it was such a beautiful welcome. And I cannot forget Didi's drishti on me or towards me at that moment. She gave me drishti. And in that moment, although I already really had a lot of faith, had become a Paka Brahmin, but of course, when you get to Madhuban, there's much more needs to happen. I was very new, few months in Gyan. But that instant when she gave me drishti, she really made me feel that I belong to the yajna. And I feel that Didi recognized the soul and she woke something up in me, something more. And that really gave me such a deep feeling that there's no question this is going to be my life completely. And I used to go to her, not before class, but some of us would go after the class. And like Sudesh Didi saying, she would love to test you. She would love to find out if you'd remembered the Murli of that day. But she'd test you at other times. And I remember one evening I was asked to share in the night class. And of course, most of you know that myself and David together came to Baba. And so in the middle of it, she asked me in front of everyone, "Are you remembering the doctor? Do you remember the doctor?" David's a dentist, but call him doctor. So she would keep an eye on you and she would know exactly what to ask at the right moment to make sure everything was on track. And I remember I must have been very, very new. And I only had one blouse and I used to wash it and iron it dry for the next morning. And somehow Didi got to know about it. How she got to know about it, no idea. But she called me and she really didn't like it at all. What was I doing like this? And she arranged for me to have blouses made in Madhuban. And so that touched me very much. Didi was a lot of fun. We remember her playing musical chairs with us in the history hall. Now, as Sudesh Didi mentioned, Didi had a limp, and so of course she couldn't move very fast. But her power of concentration, her determination was such that no matter what, even though we were all much, much younger than her, she would win at musical chairs. And so she was a lot of fun and she'd love to play April Fools and do lots of things like that. And in fact, I understand that from Daddy Janki's stories, that it was really Didi who taught Daddy Janki how to be light with Baba, how to be a friend with Baba. And the connection between the two of them, as was mentioned, was very, very deep, very close. Sudesh Didi mentioned those notes from the Murli, and they would come by book post to London. And so we'd gather in Baba Bhavan, and has the book post come? Has the book post come? And then Daddy would open the post, and instantly we'd gather around, and we would hear. She would read out those notes to us. And also, Gentiben recalls that when she would go to Madhuban, in the few years when Daddy Janki couldn't go because of her visa situation, the first thing Didi would want to know what have been Daddy Janki's classes, what has Daddy been saying. And so the friendship between them, very, very close, very beautiful. Just coming back to the Drishti, the other scene that I really treasure so much was in those early days when we would take nectar after the offering of Bhog and Murli. And in the meditation hall, Didi and Daddy would sit on low gaddis, and we would come up to them, sometimes one, sometimes the other. And it wasn't a quick process. It was very deep, powerful drishti for a long time. And then the nectar. And you absolutely felt transported to another world. And one particular brother who came to Madhuban, he had lots of questions, so many questions. He went in front of Didi for nectar. Didi gave him long drishti. He traveled to the soul world. And after he came back, all his questions were finished. And he apologized to Sister Genti. How did I ask all those questions? I have no more questions. So Didi absolutely had that power. And I remember when Didi came to London, 81, 80, 81, and for Daddy Janki, this was such a big thing for her to come. And actually, she had to go back early. I'll speak about that. But when she came into Baba Bhavan those days, and Didi was on the gadi, Daddy Janki was seated on the floor, and Daddy was so excited. We thought something's going to happen to Daddy. And we said, Daddy, are you okay? Didi says, are you okay? Her excitement was huge having Didi there. And Didi had to leave early because she didn't have all her medication. So she and her baggage had got lost. And so she had to leave early for Bharat. I don't know all the circumstances exactly, but then they had to buy a new ticket. And so a couple of months later, I traveled to India on Didi's ticket. And those days they didn't check so much, of course, as they do now. And the ticket said Didi Mammohini. And what he said to me, what will you say if they ask you? I said, I don't know, Baba will touch me. She said, tell them it's your spiritual name. Right enough, it did happen, because the person who took me to the airport very kindly took the passport out of my bag, put it on the counter and said, oh, you need this. So, of course, they compared it. And I said, oh, it's my spiritual name. And the lady rang up to Baba Bhavan and said, there's a lady here called Maureen Goodman, but she says Didi Mammohini is her spiritual name. Is she the same person? So, of course, she said yes. Sister Genti answered the phone. So I travelled on her ticket, on her name, and maybe just a little bit of all that Didi was and all that she meant to us maybe could be transferred through that ticket. Who knows? But I really feel so privileged that I got to know her. She knew who I was very intimately, and I always felt her drishti on me. I really felt that she knew my future. And so I just had to play that out. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that she knew it absolutely. Thank you, and Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Maureen. What a beautiful experience. Thank you very, very much for sharing. And thank you, Didi, for sharing your experience. And now we will have a drill, the drill for today.
अभी एक सेकंड मास्टर सर्वशक्तिमान